Time now to do some sports news. And one man who has come under a lot of pressure in the last few hours is Black Stars coach CK Akonnor. Now, of course, that has come because of the Black Stars loss to South Africa, and social media has been set ablaze with a lot of comments about whether he should stay or not. But the man himself has been speaking.
Talk too much about it. Yes, we did a good reason to change, not just because we just wanted to change. And to be honest, I was sure that we were going to win the match, and so a little bit of effort up front, believe that we could, but again, it didn't. I don't want to also push blames on the players, those who came in. They did what they could, but it wasn't enough. I think they blame. The way forward. The way forward is we have to win the next two matches. That is, we go to Zimbabwe. We have to try as much as we can. Because if we don't win, it won't be good. We have to go and make sure we get it.
You heard the CK Akonnor, coach of the Black Stars, there speaking after that performance. And of course, soccer fans across the country have not been enthused about the performance of the Black Stars. They've taken to social media to vent. And let me just quickly run by you some of the tweets. So Abrantia Kofi says, if we do not sack CK and he manages to qualify for the African tournament, I will stop paying taxes because he can't go and waste the funds of government. So that's Abrantia Kofi there. And Nanaya wrote, how we go fit play against teams like Belgium and England. Sack CK. A couple more tweets. So this one by at Jupiter_Races says Egypt has sacked their coach after the draw yesterday. He played 9 games and won 5 and didn't lose any of them, but he's been sacked. CK is still our coach. He displays some emojis there. And then at Joy B. Neba says, GFA, please do the needful, sack Akonnor and appoint a good foreign coach. So those are some of the sentiments on Twitter following the Black Stars loss against South Africa yesterday. Let's get on Zoom and have a conversation about the Black Stars and the performance thereof. We're joined on Zoom by Sadiq Adams. He's a sports analyst. Also joining us is Godfred Akoto-Boafo, and in studio, my colleague Thierry Nyan. Let me begin with you, Sadiq. Would it appear that the calls for CK to be sacked are legitimate on the basis of what we've seen so far?
Well, thank you very much. I do not think so, even though his performance has really been below par. Very, very poor performance, 40% win percentage in 10 games. But I don't think that the problems of the Black Stars are with CK Akonnor. For 8 years, we've been retrogressing. The decline has been for 8 years. And I don't think that sacking CK Akonnor is a solution, despite the fact that he's been very poor. And we don't have to mince words with that. He's been very, very poor since he was appointed. The only teams he's beaten are Sudan, Sao Tome. So these are teams that we should be ordinarily local sides should be beating. Sudan, Sao Tome, and Principe, Ethiopia, clubs or teams that he's beating. But I don't think that the problems of the Black Stars has got to do with CK alone. It's such a huge problem for us now.
I'll come to you to break down what the problems are specifically. But Godfred, does the team have a good technical direction as we speak?
Well, I'm a bit disappointed in how the team has been set up. I'm just looking at the analytics from the game against South Africa as shared by Laduma. They are saying, according to...
I think we're having a challenge hearing Godfred. We will get back to you shortly. But Thierry, you saw that performance yesterday. Some have described it as below par, simply abysmal. But you have a keen interest in these games in terms of the performance of individual players, etc. Was it a good showing from the Black Stars yesterday?
Certainly not. You don't have to take my word for it. Just, take a listen to what's happening, on the streets, on social media. And it's not just a group of journalists, sports journalists, who are trying to feed the general populace with that kind of mindset. Everybody saw the game.
Yeah.
And you could clearly tell that the Black Stars were not exactly the most dominant side in that game that you were expecting to dominate. Not necessarily, dominate possession, but create a fair number of chances, be seen to be threatening, to be seen to be doing things that would lead to a goal. Unfortunately, in simple terms, nothing like that happened. The players on the pitch individually, all of them had the right to be there, to be honest. With the exception of Andre Ayew, who I thought is not in best physical shape. Before the game against Ethiopia, he's not played a competitive game in the last couple of months, and it's because the season ended. He's moved to a new club. he's not exactly had the best of physical conditioning before this particular game.
Okay.
But his form in the Black Stars in itself has been poor, for some time now. And it just takes a bold decision from the coach to say, you know what, you are a leader of the team. You are not necessarily in the best shape, to play for me as it is. And I want to make sure that I bring in players who can handle, what it takes to, to get us the win. And at the moment, the likes of Andrea, you are not going to be giving us that.
Okay. Godfred, hopefully you can hear me and we can hear you now. I was asking if there's a clear technical direction to this Black Stars team as we have it.
Well, I'm hoping you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, all right. So the point I was making was that for me, it's the lack of the basics for a national team. And yes, the problems are not solely with CK, but it's a football team. And it's the football that counts. The football is played on a pitch. If you look at the data from the game against South Africa, the expected goal ratio of the Black Stars is the lowest that has been seen in South Africa since 2019. For a team that is as talented as the Black Stars, for a coach to be unable to set up his team in such a way that the expected goal ratio of the team is 0, it's not quite the best. And it puts him in a very, very difficult situation. I think that in the past 2 games, or I even think of the Morocco game, the setup of the team has been problematic. And I can only lay that at the footsteps of CK and the technical team. It's not just him, it's CK, it's David Duncan, it's their first assistant coach, the one they brought from Holland. It's everything. And that is why people are upset. Mm-hmm. There are other problems, yes, but the technical problem is a significant one.
Sadiq, now some have said, for example, over the years since 2010, for example, Ghana has not been successful at building teams, feeding into the national teams, and the quality of a talent we're seeing seem to be questionable at this stage. Is this something you agree with, and how can we fix this going forward?
Definitely. Like I said, there are problems, and one of them is what you mentioned. We do not seem to have a plan. We go by default, and this is exactly what we will do even after the meltdown yesterday and this morning. People will talk, they will just beat about the bush, especially the men in helm of affairs. The Football Association does not seem to have a plan going forward, because we benefited from a plan from 2000, 2001, the Kofi setup and all the players who came through from the junior sides, who played for more than 10, 15 years, likes of John Mensah, Suleiman Tari, John Pencil, Ike Kingston, Mikelesian, Derek Watson. These were a crop of players who played together from the basics, from the junior level to the World Youth Championship to the Black Stars. And we saw there 1 or 2 players who were infused. It was Asamoah, Bamsundek and Etim in 2003. And since then, I think the team became very solid because we had the base, we had a core of the players playing together for a long time. But since 2010, 2013, after the retirement of ACS to the military and all those players, we do not seem to have a plan. And you can check, we've never been able to be, impressive, even at the junior levels. And the only few times we have impressed at the junior levels, we do not seem to trust the players. Milovan Rajvac did it with a crop of 2009 players, and they started playing for 3, 4, 5 years. That was enough. What has been the plan? Has there been a coach who's been very bold to say he's building the Black Stars? Check the average age of South Africans, with the exception of Percy Tau and a few others. It's like 22, 23 years. And that's a coach who wants to build from the scratch. Okay. You appoint a coach, he comes to the Black Stars, and the average age is 29, 26. But they are still building. How do you build it? All blocks. We don't have a plan. And that's the main reason why we will go in this cyclical problem.
Thank you, Sadiq. Now, Thierry, we know that Egypt, for example, sacked their coach after they drew to Gabon in their qualifiers. And this is a coach who, from the records, has not even lost a game yet. Yeah, how is the table looking like?
A few draws in there, and they were proactive enough to say, you know what, we don't think that you are helping our ambitions as it is, so we need to let you go. And it's a serious association that knows exactly what they are looking for, and go for that. There are no sentimenting there,
right?
And so they take decisions professionally, making sure that whatever decision they take is in favor and of course benefits the entire country, and that's exactly what they did. I'm not saying that CK Akonnor should be sacked, but if we are lacking a technical direction, a tactical direction, then something needs to give. And the man at the helm of all these decisions happens to be CK Akonnor. But you're asking of the table.
Yes.
And
I know South Africa is top of the group.
South Africa is top of the group, of course, with 4 points, and that's because they drew with Zimbabwe in the first game before beating Ghana by the goal, 1-0.
Okay.
So it means that they have 4 points. Ghana has 3 points after beating Ethiopia. We got that 3 points. Zimbabwe have 1 point from that first game against South Africa. But should they win against Ethiopia later today, it means that Ghana is dropping even further, and that's what's even more concerning.
And I'm sure many of the fans also are concerned about this. We've been speaking to some of them. They've been expressing their disappointment about the performance of the Stars specifically yesterday.
Coach is in the system, but the thing is that we can see that many of our players didn't come. So for us, if they are in, but today's paper they say 7 of the players, but if they are in, there will be more progress. But not be sacking coach.
I'm not in support of sacking him, because if you bring a foreign coach, the same thing will happen. Because there are instances that there are coaches who performed worse than what he is doing, but still we kept them. So being a Ghanaian coach doesn't mean he cannot also, let's say, he can perform. Again, he can also not perform.
Ghana, the Makuma, so there, the team, the true. Someone coaching the assassin. The player who cries over the young company, a quite a South for a one bufferness and a genome. A South Africans, and Ghana, yeah, dear pass one for you.
So you heard there's some very disappointed football fans there speaking to us. But Godfred, going forward, how do we fix this in the immediate term if Ghana is to have a chance at all to qualify for the World Cup and give a good showing?
Well, if CK is to make this work, in case he stays in the situation that he stays, he needs to figure out who his best players are and build the team around them. Like Sadiq said, you cannot build with old building blocks. They can provide a certain level of reference, a certain level of leadership. But going forward, football is a game of modern talent. It's a game of freshness. We seem to be in the middle of developing a certain kind of golden generation. Look at Kudus coming through. You look at Ishaku Fatal coming through. Kamal Dean Suleiman looks like he's on the cusp of breaking through to become a major player. These are the relevant players that you have. So the first question that CK Akonnor has asked himself, how do I build a team around these young players? The mistake CK Akonnor keeps making is he keeps building his team around the old blocks, as Sadiq is saying, the Dede Ayew, Jordan Ayew, Mubarak, Wakaso. That is all well and good, but they are not the future of the game. Are they the most talented players in the team right now? No. They might be offended, yes, but there are ways to handle that. So take a strong point and say, look, going forward, I recall when the decision was made to make Kuja Samoa the fulcrum of the Black Stars team at that point. You could have people complain, yes, but at that point, he was the most talented attacking midfielder we had coming into that situation. We saw the benefits that we reaped in a particular example. So I think that is what he needs to do if things are to go forward.
Okay, and Sadiq, I'll give the last bite on this one. Godfred has spoken about making changes and, building the team around, people, younger folks who are talented, more energized, etc. You agree with that, I think?
Of course, I agree with him, definitely. But talking about CK and linking that to the Egyptian situation, I always say that the coaches may be the problem at a particular moment. But look at the Egypt situation and compare that to Ghana. Now, the Ghana Football Association has a plan, because before you appoint a coach, you have a blueprint, you have a benchmark, you have an organized system that you want the coach to play to. What are the, plans of the Ghana Football Association? What is the blueprint? What's the style of play? What is the DNA? What do they want the next coach to play to? How did they appoint CK? What were the standards set for him? What were the targets? Because if the people in charge do not seem to have a clue of what they want, it will be very difficult. The Egyptian coach won 5 and drew 4, lost none. He was sacked because he was going outside of the blueprint, and they thought that the standard was falling. Look at the Black Stars now. Players from as low as 2nd division, and some of them 4th division, and amateur players have been invited to the Black Stars. So there is no standard. You may move forward with a new coach, but we need to have a blueprint and an organized system by the GF.
Thank you very much, Godfred Akotubwafo, Sadiq Adams. Theory, before I let you go, what's our next fixture?
We are playing against Zimbabwe. It's a double header in October. So we play against them in Ghana first, and then we travel to Zimbabwe next. But you know how dicey that game is going to be, because should Zimbabwe win in this particular match against Ethiopia today, they'll see paradise, and they'll know exactly what it will be like for them to win against Ghana, and they would be, even more aggressive, against us. Should they even lose, that makes it even worse, because then they would know that they have to get the 3 points, to be part of, the potentials in that group.